What is going on? Back at Dave the Confused. This is an awesome video. I had a lot of fun making it, and I really hope you enjoy it. Jarod Leto, famous for being the singer and guitarist from the band 30 Seconds to Mars, also an actor in massive films like Fight Club, Panic Room, Urban Legends, American Psycho. I mean, the guy's been in some pretty big blockbuster movies. And he's played a lot of really eerie characters, such as the Joker from Suicide Squad. But recently, Jarod Leto has been taking a weird course in his life, and apparently people are saying that he started a cult. Now, cults can be anything like a group of people that essentially believe in the same thing and want to be around others that share same common interests and religious and political beliefs. But cults can also be something that are extremely dangerous and toxic and overall evil. So we're trying to figure out, is Jarod Leto starting a cult? Before we continue on the video, please go check out our merch because there's been a massive price drop. Shirts that were usually $30-something are now under $20. So please go check out the store. Amazing shirts for amazing people. So like I said, Jarod Leto really came on the scene massively as a small-time actor, and then he started his band 30 Seconds to Mars with his brother, and they just hit it off. The band has been incredible. I love 30 Seconds to Mars, their music. I've seen them in concert 2 or 3 times. I actually met Jarod Leto at a meet and greet after a show. He seemed like a total legit cool guy at the time. This was a while ago, like early 2000s when the album Beautiful Lie came out. So, you know, he's been around for a while. But he's always had kind of an eeriness about him, and there's always been something that people say is kind of off with Jarod Leto. As his time as an actor, he would take on kind of different roles, and as he continued in Hollywood, he became what's known as a method actor. So essentially, the character that you're playing, you never stop playing them. Even when the cameras are off and you're at home or with people, you are still that character. And because he took such weird roles, he started to be a very weird guy. And a lot of people were noticing this while working with him. Prime example is when he was playing Joker in Suicide Squad, he sent other actors on the movie really weird gifts, something like the Joker would do in real life. Essentially, he would send people live rats or snakes. He would send like vials of blood, you know what I mean? Just to kind of shake people up a bit. A little after that, what came to be was known as Camp Mars. And it was like a 3 or 4 day camp that he had set up in order to do camping activities and small concerts and everything to fans that were willing to pay to stay at this camp resort that he rented out and stay in tents and camp with him and all that jazz. Well, things started to get a little weirder when in a vlog he started saying that he went on like 2-week retreats in the middle of the desert to just meditate and become zen and become more spiritual than he was. And actors and musicians that had been on tour with him or acted in movies with him started to see that he becoming kind of narcissistic towards his spirituality and kind of conveying that he was kind of above a lot of other people because how spiritual he was. That essentially led to what was called Mars Island. And this is an island that Jarod Leto rented, an entire island, and set it up that people can pay money to come have like a 3 or 4 night stay with Jarod Leto and the band. Now, the amount of money that you have to spend in order to go is anywhere from like $1,700, which is like the basic package, to like $7,000, which is like the best package you can get. And he states that it was just essentially to do activities with fans and kind of become more zen and meditate, answer questions, and put on live shows for people that were out there on Mars Island. But it started to get even weirder when photographs of Jarod Leto dressed all in white, almost like a godlike figure, and he's walking along the beach with all the fans that went to the island also dressed in white. There's photos of him speaking to a large group of people, kind of by himself, almost in a way that a cult leader would. He went a step further by making a shirt saying, "This is a cult," and having that for everyone who came to the island to have and wear, and selling it on social media. Now, him pushing the narrative that this is a cult can be really dangerous, because a lot of people consider cults literally to be groups of evil people. But when interviewed, some fans that did go to Mars Island or Camp Mars literally said, "There's nothing weird going on. There's nothing crazy going on. We did fun games with each other. We played music. We went swimming. We ate with everybody. We just had a big band show." Like, there was nothing weird going on with Mars Island. But when you mix the narcissistic behavior and the Zen spirituality of Jarod Leto with the idea that this could be a cult, it seems somewhat off-putting. But as of right now, nothing evil has happened through Camp Mars or Mars Island. But let's not forget what cults have been related to when it comes to just pure evil. Let's look at the Charles Manson cult from the late 60s. Charles Manson was a very spiritual, Zen, essentially white Nazi racist that picked on the vulnerable and would mind corrupt them into joining his cult. He had members of his cult that were as young as 12. And literally, there's evidence of Charles Manson like punching people in the face in his cult and kicking them and stabbing them, but them being thankful for him to do it. That's when you know something is really, really wrong, is if the leader that you're following blindly can straight up stab you in the leg with a knife, and you're like, "Thank you so much, I really appreciate that. I hated this thigh anyway." Like, there's something extremely wrong with that. And on top of that, Charles Manson's cult was literally responsible for a brutal murder in the late 60s of a Hollywood actress who was pregnant at the time and 4 other people. It's one of the most famous brutal murders, mass murders of all time. And Charles Manson has gone on to have quotes like, "I don't need to kill anybody. I just need to think it, and someone will do it." Or he's gone on to say things like, "Well, God, I guess we're best friends now because I invented you." Because God had to come from somewhere. Charles Manson's narcissistic behavior and literal claim to be spiritually above other people made him one of the most dangerous people in the 60s. Now, Charles Manson has died in prison, but I believe that there still is members of his cult and society still alive today. Charles Manson went down in saying he wanted to start a race war, and he wanted to commit all these murders and blame African American groups for the murders, and he wanted to start what he considered Armageddon. The next cult that pretty well much puts the saltiest taste in people's mouth is the Jim Jones cult from the late 70s, which was responsible for one of the biggest mass suicides of modern history. Jim Jones was a religious politician that essentially convinced over 1,000 people to give him all of their money and all of their possessions and moved to a like resort farmed area in Guyana. And he called this Jonestown. And he had convinced the people of Jonestown that he was essentially a vessel for God. And when they look at him, they should see God and they can talk to him like he is a god. Well, it kind of came down near the end of, I believe it was like mid-November of 1978, that he had committed so much financial fraud that he had pocketed a certain amount of money from all of these people that went to Jonestown, that had left everything from America and Canada and everything to move to Guyana to live on farmland, essentially in tents and cabins that barely even had running water. He had convinced them because he was like, this is paradise. This is going to be heaven for us. And when stuff started to hit the fan, he ended up killing a congressman, a reporter, I believe, and knew that there were armed forces and police on their way to Guyana to retrieve him. He convinced 909 people to kill themselves in the name of Jim Jones and Jonestown. Have you ever hear of like spiking the Kool-Aid, putting poison in the Kool-Aid and getting everyone to drink it? That's Jim Jones. He did that. He himself was unable to drink the Kool-Aid out of fear of death. So he asked one of his bodyguards to shoot him immediately because he could not kill himself, but ordered over 900 other people to do it. They say it was one of the worst tragedies of modern history. And my parents, who are from Barbados in the Caribbean, remember in the late 70s when they were transporting the bodies back from Jonestown, some planes had to stop in the Caribbean to fuel up, and some of those planes were full of the bodies and victims from Jonestown. So, are we putting Jarod Leto in the same category as these mass murderer cult leaders? No, we're not. Because what I believe Jarod Leto is doing is not a cult. I believe Jarod Leto is just playing the rock star to his ego. Does he have an ego? Absolutely he does. Does he believe everything about him being too spiritual for everybody else? Yeah, probably. It shows in his work. But do I think he's an evil cult leader looking to do the next mass murder of the 20th century or 21st century or wherever we are? No, I don't think he is. I don't think he's one of those people. But I think he's somebody to keep an eye on. Absolutely. What do you think about this? What do you think about Jarod Leto and Camp Mars and Mars Island and the cult conspiracy? What do you think about Jarod Leto? Let me know in the comments below. Like I said, please go check out our merch. We have slashed the prices down. Confused Army. Now is your chance to get some Confused Army merch for like a third of the price. And that's our video for today. Thank you so much for being here. Tell me what you think. Comments below. Leave a like and subscribe. And at least our dogs aren't werewolves. Peace.